Good Wednesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls. It has been a very busy day here at home. Of course, we had severe thunderstorms rolling through. Fortunately, we're now getting a nice break from that, and now we're going to turn our attention to what's heading our direction next here in Chicagoland, which is going to be much cooler conditions going into your day tomorrow, but also going into this upcoming weekend. We have showers, thunderstorms that are going to return. But before we get to our local stuff, first we're going to be talking about an earthquake that took place off the Alaska coast, because it was actually a pretty large earthquake. So let's dive in and talk right about it here. Notice on this map that it was centered right off the coast of Alaska by about 54 miles south of Sand Point, and this was rated a 7.3 in magnitude, which, by the way, is pretty high. So scale goes up to about 10. So this was considered to be a major earthquake. Fortunately, we have not had any reports of damage because of this, and it looks like as far as tsunami concerns, there was initially a tsunami warning that was triggered because of this massive earthquake that occurred, but that was eventually downgraded to an advisory, and it looked like there was a very small tsunami, but it actually only rose the water about 3 inches. So fortunately, no damage associated with that. But let's dive in a little bit to earthquakes and what's called the Ring of Fire. So did you know 4 out of 5 earthquakes that occur in the U.S. actually occur in Alaska? So this isn't unheard of, but again, this was a very strong earthquake. And the Ring of Fire, it basically surrounds the Pacific Ocean, and what it is it's a tectonic belt of volcanoes and earthquakes that take place. So earthquakes and volcanoes, very, very common along this red shaded area here that you see on this map. And of course, this does include the same exact area where we had that large earthquake today. Let's take a look at the moment magnitude scale here. So this is how earthquakes are essentially rated. So today we had a 7.3. I know this model here is trying to bring us a little bit higher, but that's still putting us in that strong earthquake category there. So it is capable of doing pretty serious damage. But fortunately, this particular earthquake, again, it was centered about 54 miles off the coast of Alaska, and it was about 12 miles deep, which I know sounds very, very deep into the earth. However, most earthquakes occur between 0 and 43 miles deep. So this actually is considered to be a shallow focus earthquake that took place. But again, no damage that I've seen so far coming out of that. And again, the tsunami warnings, those were downgraded to advisories, and that water level only actually rose about 3 inches. So wonderful news in Alaska this afternoon and evening, and that earthquake that took place shortly after noon local time in Alaska. Your radar here at home. Here's what we were dealing with previously today. So we had this line of showers and thunderstorms coming through. It's all associated with a low pressure system, and that low pressure system is going to drag through a cold front tonight, bringing in much cooler conditions. But if you take a closer look at this, these were some pretty healthy storms rolling through. We had heavy downpours, frequent lightning, and a lot of gusty winds. Of course, we were on the lookout for any brief spin-up tornadoes as well. Fortunately, all of that activity stayed to our north. So unfortunately for Wisconsin, we did have confirmed tornadoes up that way. But in Chicagoland, no tornadoes, and now we are completely dry across the region. And it's likely going to stay that way as we go throughout the rest of this evening and tonight. Take a look at all of the storm reports, though. So all of these little blue boxes that you see showing up, those are all local storm reports, whether it's wind gusts that happened, wind damage, tree damage, power lines down. We had a lot of reports across the Chicagoland area. And take a look at this video coming to us from the Citizen app here. And this was actually in Morton Grove, and you can see several large trees down over the street there. So the National Weather Service actually in this region, which is very close to O'Hare, by the way, reported that there was likely 70, possibly higher than 70 mile per hour wind gusts out of those showers and storms that were rolling through. So we had some very powerful stuff moving through during the afternoon, the evening hours. But again, fortunately, we are kind of in the clear now. Let's take a look at the map again here. So we had a lot of storm reports, but I want to shout out a couple towns. And right at O'Hare, we had a 67 mile per hour wind gust that was reported at the airport. And if you slide things just to the south and west a little bit in Naperville, 68 mile per hour winds were reported. So that's why we were seeing some of this thunderstorm damage throughout the afternoon hours. In Mokina, Orland Park area, a 70 mile per hour wind gust was recorded. And then over in northwest Indiana in Hobart, we had a 65 mile per hour wind gust. But fortunately, for the next couple of days, things are going to stay nice and quiet. We do have showers and thunderstorms that are expected to return to our forecast going into this upcoming weekend, although at this point, I'm not overly concerned about severe thunderstorms. Now, with all of the wind that came through with those storms and the tree damage, the power line damage that we were experiencing, we had thousands of customers that were without power even just a few hours ago, but crews have been hard at work. This is the latest power outage map, down to about 700 in all of Cook County, so that's wonderful news. Previously, we were up to around 5,000. We have about 1,000 customers in both Lake and Porter counties and about 100 now in LaPorte. So we've seen huge improvements over the last couple of hours, so we're really moving in the right direction here. Now, let's take a look at what's going to be taking place the next couple of days. So here's the low pressure system that essentially triggered all of those showers and thunderstorms earlier today. And now we are waiting on that cold front. And you're probably thinking, okay, today was very hot. We could use a break from the heat and humidity, and we're going to get it. This cold front is going to be bringing in a lot of relief late tonight into early tomorrow. We're counting on low temperatures that are going to be in the upper 60s and low 70s. But the catch with tomorrow is that we're really not going to be heating up all that much. Through the day tomorrow, there is a small chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly south and east of I-55. That's going to be the best chance. But temperature-wise, we're only expected to top out in the mid-70s. And if wind flows coming in off of Lake Michigan, like it's expected to, lakefront communities may actually only be in the low to mid-70s. So it is looking like a very refreshing day for you on Thursday before we get back to the heat going into this upcoming weekend. So then on Friday, we have high pressure that's going to start to build in. That's going to clear out the cloud cover. So we're going to start off with partly sunny skies, becoming partly cloudy during the afternoon. So a little bit more in the way of sunshine during the afternoon hours of Friday. And that's going to help to boost our temperatures likely up into the lower 80s, and then we'll be in the mid 80s going into this upcoming weekend, although showers and thunderstorms are set to return. Now, with that cold front moving through tonight, wind direction is going to change. Remember, I was just mentioning that that's going to bring in all that cooler air out of the north, right? And we'll have that flow coming in off of Lake Michigan. But with a northeasterly wind, we're also going to be looking at high wave action developing later tonight, lasting through the day tomorrow. So we do have a beach hazard statement that is now going into effect until 9 a.m. Friday morning, which means hazardous swimming conditions, boating conditions, and it looks like with 4 to 7 foot waves, we could be dealing with rip currents as something that we have to be concerned about for the next couple of days. So if you were hoping for a beach day, hoping to get a swim in tomorrow, you'll just want to stay out of the water. You know the saying, when waves are high, it's best to stay dry. So that's what you're going to have to do, hopefully, for the next couple of days. But things should improve going into this weekend, although then we're going to be dodging some showers and thunderstorms. Let's bounce down and talk about the tropics. So the last couple of days, we've been tracking Invest 93L, and it is still moving very slowly through the northern Gulf. And if we zoom things in here, you can see this low pressure system is just barely offshore. So there were basically two different scenarios that we're really going to be watching for. And fortunately, the first scenario, the one that we wanted, is the one that's coming to fruition. So the fact that this low has been able to just barely get out over the Gulf, it's allowed it to not be able to strengthen too fast. So if this had taken a southerly route and then curved back up north toward Louisiana, then it had a better chance of becoming a tropical depression or possibly even a tropical storm. But with this hugging the coast, it's at least keeping those odds a little bit lower. So the tropical cyclone development map here for the next 2 days, still showing about a 40% chance. That's putting us at a medium range that we could be seeing some development. But really, if this doesn't take place and develop into a tropical depression tomorrow, then it's likely not going to occur by the time this moves onshore into Louisiana and then takes off toward the north and the east going into this upcoming weekend. But in the meantime, whether or not this stays a low, whether it becomes a tropical depression, the effects still looking about the same. The impacts, I should say, are looking about the same. So the flash flood risk through the Gulf Coast down into Florida, it's still looking fairly significant for tomorrow, especially through Louisiana. Portions of Mississippi and Alabama could be seeing some flash flooding with all of the heavy downpours and the storms that are expected along with that low pressure system. And severe weather also going to be a concern. Looking ahead to Friday, when the system really begins to take a turn to the north, take a look at the flash flood risk going into Friday. So it jumps up to a moderate category across the western half there of Louisiana along the Gulf Coast. So really going to be something to watch over the next couple of days. Here at home, I'm not overly concerned about flash flood warnings. We're going to get a break from the heat, but then it's going to come rushing back next week. We have low to mid 90s in your forecast next week. I'll tell you all about it coming up after this very short break in about 2 minutes. Welcome back. We had a very hot day today. Temperatures were above average. We were topping out in the upper 80s and low 90s. We tagged 90 degrees at O'Hare, 92 at the Chicago Lakefront, 93 in Gary, 92 in Merrillville, 92 degrees also in Joliet, and we hit 91 in the city of Aurora. Here's where we're headed, though. It's going to feel drastically different throughout the day tomorrow. We're going to be in the mid 70s for your high on Thursday, so very refreshing, and then warmer, more seasonable air is going to be building in going into this upcoming weekend. So we'll be in the low 80s on Friday, mid 80s expected on Saturday. Sunday back down to about 80, but then Monday, that's going to mark the beginning of another warming trend. So mid 80s expected on Monday. But take a look at this. So the next 10 days around here, so looking beyond next Monday when we're at 85 degrees, we have another stretch of 90s that are expected Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Low to mid 90s expected. That's likely going to be coming along with another round of humidity as well, which means we could be potentially dealing with heat index values pushing 100 once again, very similar to what we had today. So hopefully if you're looking for a break from the heat, the humidity, enjoy that tomorrow, enjoy that on Friday, because then going into at least the second half of the weekend into early next week, we're going to start ramping those temperatures back up again, and mid 90s are expected by the middle of next week. For tonight, fairly comfortable, 69 degrees. We still are waiting on that cold front to move through, but once it does, you're really going to notice it. So right now, we're still a touch on the humid side. That's going to change. So by early morning tomorrow, dew point temperature is going to be dropping. It's not going to be quite as muggy as what we had today. And again, temperatures tomorrow significantly cooler. We're expected to be in the mid 70s. We'll hit about 75 degrees at O'Hare. Warmer conditions are expected farther south, farther inland, away from the lake. So places like Rensselaer, Kankakee, Morris, LaSalle, wouldn't be surprised if you're actually in the mid to upper 70s. So your 3-day forecast here, 75 degrees tomorrow. There is a small chance for a couple stray showers, especially south and east of I-55. Most areas are going to end up staying mainly dry, just partly sunny tomorrow. And then on Friday, dry skies, soak it in and enjoy it, because showers and thunderstorms, those are expected to return again going into this upcoming weekend. We're at 85 degrees on Saturday, and unfortunately, showers and storms look like they could linger into Sunday and Monday as well. I'll have a look at your full 7-day forecast coming up very soon on the news at 9. We'll see you soon.